Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode what we're going to be doing is looking at sovereign disease issues 16 to 21, and we'll find out what you get so we can use these in the build in the next episodes. So in issue number 16, in the Age of Sail, it talks about English exploration and settlement, a brief history on that. We then go on to excuse me. We then go on to into the marine modelling. It's the first part of the Prince William. The ship is the model, the details of that. So this is the first part of that model. Again, loads of lovely details of the ship and a brief history of it as well. We then go on to the modelling masterclass, and we're talking more about woods, different woods for the ships, and what they are look like, boxwood, ebony, etc. Just gives you an overview of the different woods that we can use in your model building. And then on to the assembly guide for issue 16. So in this pack you get the stern formers in a fret, so supporting beams, external deck extensions, bracings and some half frames. You also get some bamboo strips, which are the white ones, and then you get the sable strips, which are these darker brown colours. So we'll be using both of those. So initially we line it with the bamboo, and then I believe we go over with the sable after. You get some, if you can see them down here, you start getting some pins for fixing. So these are the little pins that you'll use for fixing your strips to the frames. Once you do it, you get 50 of those pins. So from past models I've got a collection of pins, so but it's always good to have spares. So in this issue it talks you through actually fitting out the rear of the keel. So we're continuing to fit out the rear up to a certain point, and then that's where we will add the gallery at this point as well. That will also be added and glued in place. Also gives you a bit of information, more information on the launch. So if you remember, we had some parts earlier, so the oars and the bucket tells you how to paint those, and obviously we're going to be leaving those because we're not doing the launch at this point. They will be done at a later date. So that's number 16. So issue number 17, again we're talking about the Age of Sail, and they're talking about the Dutch Revolt and the 80 Years' War. So it's a brief history on that. So obviously it's an interesting read in regards to that and the 80 Years' War. We then go on again to the marine modelling, which is some more information about the Prince Realm. So more pictures, a bit more information regarding this ship. Again, amazing pictures that we can see there. So that covers a couple of pages of Prince William. And then in the modelling masterclass, again we're talking about more woods. This time they're talking about oak, beech, olive, pear, pine and pitch pine. So there's some more woods that you can use and the different colours that you have available. Okay, so in the assembly guide of issue 17, with this issue you get some more bamboo strips, some more staple strips which are the brown ones, and again you get 50 of the pins. So in this issue it's where we're starting to plank the hull. So it is a guide of how to plank the hull. What we need to do is start to file down the frames at the front and the frames at the back, but we'll talk about more of that later when we start doing it. Does recommend about the various equipment that you need, pin pushers, pliers, etc., sanding blocks, cutters and plank benders. I'm going to be talking about plank benders because there's various ways you can bend your planks for fitting on your hull. There's about 3-4 methods that are available, so I will talk about plank benders when we get on to actually starting to plank the hull. So what we're going to be doing in this, we're going to start the planking at the beginning, at the front for a bit, to get the nice curve. We're going down a few rows, and then we're also going to be planking the transom under the gallery. So that will be done in issue number 17. So then issue number 18. Again, it's the Age of Sea. We're talking about the English defeat of the Spanish Armada. So, history of that. So, if you remember the Queen Elizabeth I, etc. And then second part in the modelling section, we have the Belle Poule French frigate, which some lovely images on that frigate. Again, history of it, some up close pictures, both there and up close, as you can see, of all the rigging, etc. Now, in the Modeller's Masterclass, it making a guide for a multi-angled guillotine. So the guillotines are basically what you can use to cut your wood. As it quite rightly says, it is a guillotine, and these can be rotated round. So I will show you what the guillotines look like. So this is a multi-angle guillotine. Inside you have a sharp blade in the handle, and it can go from 45 degrees to 45 degrees, so it rotates in the middle. There is an area which is flat here, and then you put your wood in, get the relevant angle that you want, press down, and that cuts the wood. Very useful bit of kit. So recommended if you are cutting lots of bits of wood, especially when you're doing your planking, you do invest in one of these. It's very easy to cut them. It's got a little pointer there, as you can see, just under the handle, and it's got the various degrees on the front. So that is the multi-angle guillotine. So in the magazine, it tells you how to make a little guide for it. so that you're actually feeding the wood in. Very useful. I've never actually thought about making that, so it would be an idea to make that so you can get closer up to the blade, which is very, very useful. So I might make one of those, and I might tell you how it works out. So in issue number 18 we get again some more bamboo strips and some more staple strips and more pins. So over the next few issues, this is predominantly what we'll be getting anyway. So again, in the guide, we're continuing to do the planking onto the hull. But we're only going down to the current deck level anyway, so we're not going above deck number 2 at the moment, because obviously we've still got to build up the other decks. So it tells you how to carry on planking, and so we start roughly near the top for a few layers, and then we're also going to start simultaneously going along the bottom, so we're actually working the way up as well. So this all explains how to do that. So that is issue number 18. Issue number 19. This is the preventative treatment and maintenance of ships. This is in the history of sail. So this gives us an idea of maintenance and fighting other things like shipworm to stop the ships from rotting, etc. In the modelling section, we've got part 2 of the Belle Poule. Again, more pictures, as you can see, of this ship, and some more history, very in-depth details, as you can see. In the masterclass, it then also gives you how to make a base for your guillotine, for your multi-angle guillotine. It goes into talking about making a new base, so you can have basically remove the plastic one, because that does wear out with the blade. You can make a wooden one exactly the same way, and it may last significantly longer than the plastic one. So you're keeping the handle, technically, you're just replacing the base. So that is an idea if you wish to build a base for your guillotine. That way it is a longer one actually, what they're building here. That will allow you to cut longer pieces, so either the doweling, if you've got a thin bit of dowel you can cut that and you can support it more. So in issue 19 we get some more bamboo, some more staple strips and some more pins. So that is what we get. Continuing the planking from the underside, going up. So what we are actually doing is we're slowly filling in the gap from deck 2 down to the actual keel itself. So once that is all completed, you will be doing a lot of work. So you may not need to use the jig as much initially, but then you will be able to put it back into the jig once it's all sorted and supported. Just take these supports off that you're using. There is a cradle that you can use as well to put your boat in when you are starting to do the planking. I will show you something very similar to that at a later point. continues on in regards to the launch, so painting your launch, painting it out and making sure all that is completed. So that is number 19. So now we move on to issue number 20. So we are looking at, in the age of sail, we're looking at the Dunkirk frigate. That ship, the galleon, updated, and it gives some more details of how they updated the frigate. So obviously any updates in regards to that. So it remained in service. They remained in service quite a long time, actually, by the looks of it. In the modelling section, marine modelling, we're talking about the Flying Fish, which was an American schooner. Again, lovely pictures that have been presented in regards to this. And more pictures, a few close-ups of the masts, etc. And in the masterclass section, it shows you how to make your own guillotine using bits of wood for both 90° and 45° in any strip of thickness. So that is useful if you wish to make your own guillotine rather than buying the plastic one. That is useful if you want to actually make that. So this is a two-part guide, I think, so the next one should be in issue 21. So that's a bigger point. So in issue 20, again, we get the bamboo strips, the sable strips, and the pins. It also continues in regards to the planking of from the front. So we'll start to work our way down the front as well, from the top and the bottom. So you do need to leave this gap here, but we'll go into that into more detail because we have got the bow section to put on the front. So, and then it also then, as you can see, the bow has come along quite nicely. The planking on the actual ship. This is in issue 21, and then it also starts talking about fitting out the launch. So this is putting in the deck boards. It's putting into the various options. So you'll have the. I think this one may have a little sail to go with it and a mast. So that's issue number 20. Finally, issue number 21. So again, we're talking about the age of sail, and it is the French desire for an empire. Goes into that brief history starting from 1524. So it basically goes through finding new countries, etc. In the modelers section, again we're talking about the Flying Fish and some more graphics in relation to that. Some lovely detailed pictures. In the masterclass, we are going into the making your own guillotine. There's a bit more information onto that one. So it's a continuation of the previous issue. And then again, Number 21, we get the bamboo strips, the staple strips, and the pins. So we're getting quite a good collection of pins there. Continuing to do the planking, so it's along the front and also the stern, as you can see. So we're planking and build them up from the sides and from the bottom, and then also we're continuing to fit out the launchers with the gratings that we have. They are then fitted and painted, and then that is it for issue 21. So what we're going to be doing in the next issue, as I say, wait for the decks to harden or the glue to cure in the previous episode, so they should be cured. So we will then start with the planking. So we'll go into looking at plank benders and then all the techniques used for planking and what we need to do. So we'll be fitting out the stern section as well before we can actually start the planking. So we've got to finish all those, make sure that's all in place, and then, as I say, we will start planking for the next few issues. And then once the hull is planked and we're satisfied with that, what we will then do is we'll move on to the next decks, but that will be later in the issues. So thank you very much for watching, guys. So I will see you for the next episodes of the build, and that will be from issues number 16 to 21. Look forward to seeing you. Please like and subscribe. Again, if you have any queries, drop me a message and I'll be happy to answer them. So in the meantime, stay safe, take care, goodbye.